Ever found yourself kind of like captivated by the whole forbidden fruit thing? In the Garden of Eden. It's funny, everyone's heard the story, but when you dig into the details, things get a little hazy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, totally. And that's what we're diving into today.
We're going straight to the source, well, one of the most respected sources in Islamic scholarship anyway, Tafsir al-Tabari. We're going to unpack this mystery, see what's really going on with that infamous fruit.
And one of the most fascinating things al-Tabari does is he jumps right into this question. I mean, right into the heart of it. And he starts by pointing out something that, honestly, you might find a little surprising.
Ooh, I love a good surprise. Hit me.
The Quran itself, it never actually names the fruit.
Wait, seriously? You're telling me all this time we've been talking about this forbidden fruit and we don't even know what it was? Like, was it an apple? A banana? Some exotic fruit nobody even knows about anymore.
It's true. The Quran simply says, and I'll quote the Arabic here,
Okay, for those of us who don't speak Arabic.
Right, of course. It translates to, and do not approach this tree.
See? No specifics, just tree. Okay, I gotta admit, that's kind of wild. But it really makes you think, doesn't it? If knowing the exact type of fruit was so crucial, you'd think it'd be spelled out right. Like front and center.
Exactly. Yeah. That's precisely the point al-Tabari brings up. He's basically saying, look, if knowing this specific fruit, whether it was an apple or a pear or whatever, if that was essential for our understanding of the story or even for our faith, wouldn't it be crystal clear in the Quran?
So it's not about getting bogged down in the details, right? Like, it doesn't really matter if it was a fig or a pomegranate or whatever. There's a deeper meaning here. Okay, you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Well, there were definitely scholars back in the day who had their theories. Some were convinced it was wheat, representing sustenance. Others, they argued for grapes, maybe a hint at intoxication, losing control.
Oh, wow. I could practically picture those debates getting pretty lively. Team grape versus team wheat, like something out of a history book.
Oh, absolutely. They definitely had some lively debates, those scholars.
I bet. But I see what you're saying, though. Getting caught up in those specifics, like what kind of fruit it actually was.
Yeah.
Al-Tabari is saying that kind of misses the point, doesn't it?
Right. It's like, how can I put it? It's like arguing about which toppings are best on a pizza.
When you're not even hungry.
Exactly. You got it. The bigger question isn't the topping, it's whether you're even hungry. And with the forbidden fruit, knowing if it was an apple or a fig or, I don't know, a durian fruit.
Durian fruit, huh? Now that's an interesting choice.
Right. But it wouldn't change the core message, would it? The point of the story.
Which is?
Obedience, primarily. It's about resisting temptation. This idea of, the human condition, our weaknesses, our flaws, the choices we make, and the consequences that follow. Our relationship with the divine, right? The specific fruit. It's almost irrelevant.
Okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But then there's another layer to this whole thing, isn't there? This whole idea that the forbidden fruit. Well, give me a metaphor.
Right, and that's where it gets even more interesting. Al-Tabari, he tackles this head on. He points out that in Arabic, the word for tree, it's al-shajara, and it doesn't necessarily mean like a literal tree, not in the same way we picture it in English anyway.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. Tell me more about this tree that might not even be a tree.
So al-shajara, it can refer to anything with a stalk or a stem. So sure, it could be a tree, but it could also be, a grain.
A vine.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying this one word, it could totally change how we understand the whole story?
Exactly.
Wow, that's huge.
It opens up all these possibilities. Suddenly, we're not just talking about a piece of fruit anymore. We're talking about what? Forbidden knowledge. Or like a relationship that pulls you away from your values. Could be anything.
Exactly. And that's what makes al-Tabari's perspective so valuable. He's saying, hey, let's think critically here. Let's look beyond the literal. Let's engage with this text on a deeper level, find a more meaningful understanding.
So instead of just like coming right out and telling us what kind of fruit it was, Al-Tabari is kind of giving us something way bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way to look at the story.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's something really powerful in that, don't you? Sometimes, the journey, the exploration, it's just as important as actually getting a definitive answer.
Totally. It's like with these ancient stories, these scriptures, they weren't meant to be like carved in stone, right? It's more like they were meant to make us think, get those conversations going, even challenge our assumptions a little bit.
Right. And that's what I love about al-Tabari's approach. He's really advocating for that. This idea that the Quran invites us to think for ourselves, to have those thoughtful discussions, to be okay with, I don't know, with a little bit of ambiguity, Sometimes the answers aren't black and white, and that's okay.
It's a good reminder that we're always learning, always discovering. So as we wrap up our little deep dives into the mystery of the forbidden fruit, which, by the way, we still don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But hey, that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's one final thought we can leave our listeners with? Something to really chew on.
A final thought. Okay, well, I'd say let's circle back to that image of the tree al-shajara. What if, and just go with me on this, what if we think beyond the literal fruit? If we look at it as a metaphor, what comes to mind? What does that forbidden tree, that symbol, represent to you?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
It's like, instead of giving us the answer, Al-Tawari is holding up a mirror and saying, hey, take a look. Time for a little self-reflection, wouldn't you say?
Exactly.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that. This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep those brain gears turning.